everyone, and welcome to episode 37 of the Knitty Heather podcast. My name is Heather, and I'm coming to you from Kent, Washington, where I live with my husband Tom and our Cavalier King Charles Spaniel Pepper. This is my podcast where I chat about everything that I am working on, and I always love to share with you my progress as well as amazing makers. I always love to feature designers, yarn dyers, and other makers of accessories like project bags or progress keepers, anyone that adds to the beauty of our fiber world. If you are a new viewer, welcome. I'm so happy you found me and I hope you enjoy yourself. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. If you would like to follow me, I am at Knitty Heather on Instagram, and I would love to see what you are working on and sharing and posting on Instagram. All of the yarn and patterns and accessories I talk about will be listed and linked in the description box below. Today is Saturday, September 4th, 2021, and I have a lot to tell you about, so let's get started. Today I am wearing my broken rib cowl. This is another cowl that I used a stitch from New Stitch a Day. This was the broken rib stitch. The yarn I used was Caron Simply Soft in the gray color. I believe this was the first skein of yarn that I ever knit a hat out of, and I kind of knit up what I had left over into this little cowl. I am able to wrap it twice around my neck, and it is just a classic broken rib stitch. I'll insert a close-up picture so you can see what it looks like. I don't remember the size needles that I used, probably a 7 or 8, because I do believe Caron Simply Soft, which is widely available at most big box stores. I think I purchased this one at my local Joann's. But I believe it is a worsted weight yarn. I really enjoy projects like this where I can just knit as long as my yarn will let me, and then I seamed it together with a whip stitch. Check out the broken rib stitch on the New Stitch a Day website. Today I am also wearing a pair of socks from Hypnotic Yarn. This colorway is called Beach Ball, and it was from the August 2020 Yarnable box. The pattern I followed is called Star-Toed Fleagle by Stacey Perry of Very Pink Knits. It is knit toe up with the pinhole cast on into a star toe, a fleagle heel, and about 10 rounds of a 2x2 rib for the cuff. Now on to some acquisitions. Last weekend I was able to go to a lovely trunk show put on by Maribel of Rainier Roses Yarn Co. She was doing a trunk show at A Little Knitty in Auburn, Washington. She had many beautiful yarns on display, and I chose 3 skeins on her DK base. It is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon DK base, and they are going to be perfect to do some DK socks. I know that Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady, just recently came out with a DK sock pattern, and I am dying to try knitting it. The first skein I got is called Cactus Flower. Here is a look at her label. Isn't this a very pretty pink? And another skein I got is called Autumn Staple, a very beautiful, almost golden green, very tonal, very lovely. I'm very tempted to put these two together and use the other color as the heels, toes, and cuffs and kind of make a pair of matching but opposite socks. We'll see how that goes. I'll have to check the yardage, but I think that would work if I knit this green with the pink heels, toes, and cuffs, and then the opposite with the pink using green heels, toes, and cuffs. We'll see. I think that might be really pretty. The other skein I was lucky enough to purchase is called Proper Unicorn. Kind of a more speckled with some really fun, bright colors. There's some purples, blues, pinks, a little bit of green. And I intend to make some DK socks with this as well. It's so exciting to have DK bases coming out that have the little bit of nylon that will help make the socks wear a little bit better. Please check out Rainier Roses Yarn Co. I will link her website down below. Please check out Rainier Roses Yarn Co. I will link her website down below. And she also has a really fun podcast. Thank you so much for your beautiful yarn, Maribel. It was a pleasure meeting you, and I hope I run into you again someday. It has been a few episodes since I featured a new pattern, so I thought that I would talk about the Crinkled Socks today. This is a pattern by K.F. Jones, and it is a little bit of dream knitting, I guess. I have not cast these on yet, but I would like to someday. It's one of many sock patterns on my long wish list of things I'd like to cast on someday. But this is a really fun textured pattern. It is knit cuff down. I believe it has a traditional heel flap and gusset. And again, I really love the beautiful texture pattern. I believe Sandy of Sandy by the Lakeside has knit these, and hers are just gorgeous. The interesting thing about this pattern is that it has an umbrella toe. And I have not tried many different types of toes, and I think it would be really fun to try an umbrella toe. Have you ever knit the Crinkled Socks by K.F. Jones? If so, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. What kind of yarn would you use to knit a pattern like this? I'd be interested to find that out as well. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Check out the Crinkled Socks by K.F. Jones. Now on to my finished objects. I have two completely finished pairs of socks to show you today. The first is my August Desert Vista Dye Works pair. Here they are. This is in Happy Girlfriend's Day. Really pretty purples with some black and teal stripes as well. This, like I said, was my August entry in the 7th annual Desert Vista Dye Works monthly sock club. I knit these two at a time, toe up. This is just my normal wedge toe. I knit up the foot and the leg. I did about 13 or 14 rounds, I think, of a 2x2 rib for the cuff. And then I cut in an afterthought heel. I was really happy with how I was able to get these to match up. I think they look pretty darn good. I did not use a pattern on these. This is just a plain vanilla stockinette sock. And I really thought these stripes spoke very highly for themselves, so I didn't really think I needed to do a pattern with these. I cut in my afterthought heel in the middle of this lighter purple stripe, and I can't wait to start wearing these. This is a plain vanilla sock knit up in Happy Girlfriend's Day by Desert Vista Dye Works. Next, I finished my Tokyo sock. This was the pattern that Mina Phillip, the knitting expat, released in August as part of her Around the World in 8 Socks collection. Here they are. I knit these cuff down with 20 rounds of the ribbing that she suggests. I knit the pattern down the whole front of the sock, but left the back plain stockinette. I did a stockinette German short row and the rounded wedge toe that she wrote up in her pattern as well. Here's a little bit of a closer look at the lace design. Really beautiful yarn overs and some mock cable stitches. The yarn I used was from Lolo Did It, part of her Downton Abbey Upstairs and Downstairs Club. The contrasting color was called Switzerland, and the main color was called Marigold. And I love how her yarn has been working up in these patterns by Mina. Every month I've used one of my Downton Abbey sock sets for this knit along, and they have all turned out really beautifully. Here's one more look. I really love the delicate speckles in this Switzerland contrasting color. I think it's very, very well done. And this is an excellent pattern if you do want to challenge yourself with a little bit of lace knitting. There really isn't anything too difficult, but it is enough that you should keep on your toes when knitting something like this. Don't be intimidated by lace socks. They're very fun and they look absolutely beautiful. This is the Tokyo sock by Mina Phillip, knit up in Lolo Did It, Marigold, and Switzerland. Now on to my works in progress. The first I'd like to tell you about is my September pair of socks for the Desert Vista Dye Works monthly sock club. I have them in my sock monkey bag by MLD Threads on Etsy, and here they are. This colorway is called the Fairest Zombody of them all. It's part of her Zombody Villains collection, and you can see there's a very speckly zombie stripe in the yarn. This is, of course, in reference to the Evil Queen from Snow White. I've got my Snow White Progress Keeper from Fangirl Fibers, marking my progress. And here is what the yarn, the main yarn, looks like in the cake. Kind of those gold and deep purple colors that Evil Queen wears. But then the really fun thing about this colorway is that it actually is a set, and it comes with a Poison Apple mini. How fun is that? So as you can probably tell, I did the toes in that contrasting Poison Apple mini, and I am just starting to work up the foot in the main yarn. I am using a 40-inch ChiaoGoo red lace circular needles for 2 at a time toe up magic loop. And I'm thoroughly enjoying these so far. It started with a purple stripe and then the zombie, and right now I'm in the middle of a black stripe. I am doing these plain vanilla, and I plan to do an afterthought heel with the contrasting mini, and I'll use this contrasting mini for the cuff as well as I continue to work up the foot and leg. This is a plain vanilla sock, knit 2 at a time toe up in the fairest zombody of them all by Desert Vista Dye Works. Next, I would love to tell you about my Vancouver socks. This is the September pattern that Mina Phillip, the knitting expat, just released as part of her Around the World in 8 Socks collection. Of course, inspired by the city of Vancouver, British Columbia. I have this sock in my Wizard of Oz bag from Donna's Designs shop on Etsy, and look at this beauty so far. It reminds me of ripples in waves. This mermaid tail progress keeper is from Bump on a Hill on Etsy, and it is just a really fun pattern so far. I've done 1 pattern repeat and then just a few more rounds, and as you can see, it has these really fun 1x1 cables that are creating this ripple pattern. And then it almost has like a seed stitch diamond in the middle. Super pretty. I am so happy with the yarn I chose for this pattern so far. This is another sock set by Lolo Did It and her Downton Abbey Upstairs and Downstairs Club. This theme really touched my heart. It was one of the absolute best moments of the whole series. This main color is called Hold My Hand. Really pretty speckly blue. And this contrasting mini, which has very, very delicate speckles, you can probably see it a little bit better in the cuff, is called Hold My Hand, and they are in reference to, I don't remember if it was the end of season 4 or season 5 of Downton Abbey, when Mrs. Hughes and Mr. Carson hold hands in the water when they were at the beach, and it was just the cutest thing ever. Really love Mrs. Hughes and Mr. Carson, and it was so touching when they showed a little bit of affection and eventually got together. Here's one more look at this beautiful pattern. I am doing it across the front of this sock, knitting this magic loop with my Addi Turbo Sock Rockets. And then I'm knitting plain stockinette across the back, really knitting up beautifully on both sides. Very happy. This is the cable needle I am using. I know there's probably a twisted stitch that I could do to get the same effect, but it's just as easy to use a cable needle for me. I can't wait to show you more progress on this next time. I will continue down the leg. This is the Vancouver sock by Mina Phillip, the knitting expat, part of her Around the World in 8 Socks collection, knit up in Lolo Did It, Hold My Hand, and Live a Little. Next, I'd like to tell you about another new cast on. This is something fun that we are doing in Knitty Natty's Love and Stitches membership. And I was able to sign up to get a share a pair swap buddy. If you're not familiar, a share a pair swap means that you split 2 different skeins of yarn, one from your buddy and one from you, and you each are working with 50 grams of the same yarns. I was paired up with a lovely lady out in Florida, and here is what she sent me. This is 50 grams of a one-of-a-kind colorway from Legacy Fiber Arts. And then I kind of was looking through my stash to see what I had that would go well with it. And this is Knitology by Knit Crate. Their cabled sock in the colorway Ginseng. And we kind of decided that these would really go well together. Kay, the crazy sock lady, has been doing share a pair sets like this with Mandy of Mandy's Makings on Etsy, with sets very much like this where you kind of have a more speckled or variegated and then a more solid or tonal. I really like pairing these two together, and I am following Kay's concept of striping these two yarns together. Here's what mine is looking like so far. So I did the cuff in the speckled, and then now I am striping 2 rounds of the orange, 2 rounds back to the speckled, 2 rounds to the orange, and so forth. And I don't need to cut the yarn, I'm just carrying the yarn all the way down. But I think this is looking really fun so far. One other really fun thing that people do with the share pairs, and I think I will do this as well, is that on the second sock, they flip-flop what they use for the heels, toes, and cuff. So for this sock, I did do the cuff in the speckled. I'll do the heel flap in the speckled as well, and then the toe. But then on the next sock, I will start and do the cuff with this orange, and then the heel and the toe as well, just to give them a little bit of extra interest and a little bit of interest for me as the knitter. I am doing these plain stockinette. I'm using my Knit Picks Radiant 32-inch circular needle for magic loop, and I have this in my really cute polka dot bag from Sandy by the lakeside. Really nice project bag. I absolutely love this, and it's got a really fun tassel as a zipper pull. I thought it was just about time to break out my pumpkin pie progress keeper from Simply Serving on Etsy. So I'm going to continue down the leg, striping these 2 colors until I get to where I'm going to do the heel flap, which again for this sock I will do in the speckled yarn. I did 16 rounds of 2x2 rib for the cuff, and then I did do 2 extra rounds just plain knitting with the speckled yarn before I incorporated my solid color. And I'm excited to see how these are going to continue to knit up, and I can't wait to see what my partner does with her yarn as well. This is a plain vanilla sock following the striping method that Kay the crazy sock lady does for her share a pair socks, using a one-of-a-kind colorway from Legacy Fiber Arts and ginseng from Knitology Cabled Sock by Knit Crate. My last sock I would like to share with you is my sport weight sleeping sock I've been working on. I have it in my drawstring sock bag from Mrs. Brown's Bags, and the yarn I'm using is called Anniversario. It is Malabrigo Arroyo. Look how pretty that is in the cake. This is sock number 2. And here is how it is looking so far. I am using the toe up socks using German short rows pattern by Stacy Perry of Very Pink Knits. And I'm using my Knit Picks Radiant double pointed needles for this pattern. She has you start with a German short row toe. And now I'm working up the foot. I think I have exactly 30 more rounds to go up the foot before I do a German short row heel. This Ladybug Cupcake Progress Keeper is from Simply Serving on Etsy. And because this is sport weight, I am using size 3 needles, and it's working up very, very quickly. I'm hoping to get this pair off the needles very soon so that I can cast on one of my DK weight socks. It is plain stockinette and knitting up very beautifully. I'm super happy with how the first sock and how this sock is turning out as well. This is Toe Up Socks using German short rows by Stacy Perry, knit up in Malabrigo Arroyo in the colorway Anniversario. Next, I'd like to tell you about a rather large work in progress. I have it in my sloth bag from Quilt Knit Craft on Etsy. This is my Patchwork Fade Cowl by Meredith Weed of A Lovely Blunder Knits. Last time we talked, I was down here at my Rainbow Cake Progress Keeper by Simply Serving on Etsy. And so I've done most of the blue. I had just kind of transitioned into the blue last time we talked. And I have a little bit more. I just finished a really nice seed stitch section. And I'm finishing the last few rounds of a stockinette section. This will be a very long loop. I'm sure I will be able to wear it double around my neck. I started with a provisional cast on, and then it will get seamed together with a Kitchener stitch to make a big, giant, very rainbowy, very colorful loop. The yarn I am using is the 2021 Christmas in July Advent by Nancy of Trilogy Yarns, and she has done an absolutely beautiful job of fading all these colors. This is a perfect yarn and pattern collaboration. I am very happy to be doing this. I'm using 16-inch size 4 ChiaoGoo red lace needles for this. My little beginning of the round bead stitch marker is from Bump on a Hill on Etsy. And so I think I just have about 6 more sections to go before I can finish this baby up. It has been such a pleasure to knit, and I just love how all these colors are working with each other. This was such a really well done fade. Here is the little mini that I am working with. This advent came with 30 20-gram minis. Here's that nice blue. So hopefully I will be able to finish this in the next couple weeks and show it to you as a finished object very shortly. This is the Patchwork Fade Cowl by Meredith Weed of A Lovely Blunder Knits, knit up in the 2021 Christmas in July Advent by Trilogy Yarns. Last but not least, I would like to tell you about the mystery knit along I am working through. It is called the Snarkometer by Casa Pinka. I have it in this cute butterfly bag from Southern Sewn by Sharon on Etsy with this pretty rainbow bottom. And here is what it is looking like at the beginning of Clue 2. Now, as of today, she just released Clue 4, so I'm quite behind. Here it is so far. It is a beautiful rectangular shawl with lots of different stitch patterns. Right now, I am working on this little kind of brick section between my color A and color D. Really looking nice so far together. I am absolutely enjoying each section of this, and you never know what is coming up next. That's what's so much fun about a mystery knit along, and then it stretches you as a knitter as well, because you get to experience a lot of different stitches and techniques that you might not otherwise try. There will be 6 clues total, so I am only beginning the second one right here. It will be quite a lot longer, but I do believe it will maintain its rectangular shape. Here's a little more of a close-up of how the different yarns are working together. This pattern requires 4 skeins of fingering weight yarn. And as you can see, I kind of went in a purpley pink mode for this. And I'm very happy with how these colors are playing together. I'm super pleased with which color I chose as color A, color B, color C, and color D. I think I've made the right choices. I'm really hoping that I can show you more progress next time. This is the Snarkometer Mystery Knit Along by Casa Pinka. Well, I think that's about all I have for you today. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing. That would really mean the world to me. And as always, let me know what is on your needles. Let me know what you are working on. And let me know your thoughts about this podcast and any suggestions you have. I always love your feedback. You are more than welcome to leave a comment down below or message me on Instagram. I am at Knitty Heather on Instagram, and I would absolutely love to hear from you. But until next time, be well, be kind, and happy knitting. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.